Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Madeline, and today what I wanted to do was walk through how I letter each one of my letters. So that way if you are lettering along with me, or maybe you're just beginning and you're starting out and you're just trying to figure out how do I make the letter B and how do I make it look, nice, or like Madeline's, I'm going to kind of break it down here and just do the alphabet with you guys right now, and so that way we can work on that together. And so let me pull up my chair here. The pen I'm using today is the Tombow Fudonosuke hard tip pen in the color purple, and really love these pens. These are great for beginners, and I highly recommend if you're going to get any kind of lettering pen that you start out with a Tombow Fudonosuke hard tip. That's going to be the best, and you get the most control, and yeah, so highly recommend that. And so for the letter A, what I do is you do a small upstroke at the very beginning, curve, turn around, and do a thick downstroke, pushing down, and then let up and do a light upstroke. So you have an oval stroke here, and then I just go and do a thick downstroke and just kind of taper off at the end to do my letter A. And capital A, you can do the same thing. You can do just a larger version of that, and upstroke and meet it there, and then just do a thick downstroke for just like a capital A like that. If you wanted to, you can do a thick downstroke, and then you can do a thin stroke on this side, and then a thin stroke across for just kind of a manuscript A. So there are the letter A. Here's the letter A. We've got the letter B. I like to do a thick downstroke, thin upstroke to round, and then as I'm going back down, doing a thick downstroke curved, and then letting a light upstroke go upwards so that way I can connect it between the letters. For capital B, I would do thick downstroke and do thin, thick, thin, and then thin, thick, thin. You can do it like that, and then you can kind of loop around again, and so you can start off on your next letter. You can also just use kind of a manuscript and just do kind of light strokes for the B. So thick downstroke and thin, like that. Again, you're just playing around with it and seeing what you like best and what suits you best. Now we've got the C. We're going to do kind of like an oval stroke like we did with the A, thin upstroke, curve, thick downstroke, curve, and we're not going to meet, we're going to go past it and go up a little bit, and that's to make the C. Same thing with the capital, start almost like you're making an oval stroke, but you're going to go past because you're not going to meet it, and you're just going to stop there. And then you can continue on with your letters. And then we've got D. I'm going to do an oval stroke again, like that. And then I just like to go ahead and just do a thick downstroke, and that makes the lowercase d. If you wanted to do a cursive, kind of a cursive D, I am not very good at these, and so that's more of a, round, and then a down, thick stroke, up, thin stroke, down, thick stroke, and then an up again. Don't really love those Ds. Never really mastered those pretty well, but I would do a capital D, thick downstroke, and then you can just do a thin upstroke or a thin downstroke if you wanted to, and just make a D like that for manuscript D. Now for E, you're going to start in the center right there. Do thin upstroke, and then start doing a thick downstroke, and then back to a thin upstroke. Kind of like doing an oval stroke, but starting out in the center of where you're going to be going across, and that's how you make the E. You can do a cursive E, which to me just looks like a backwards 3. But I like to use a manuscript and just do thin strokes like this. Not all the way at the top. I like to leave that little bit poking out. That's just me. A, B, C, D, E, F. So F, we've got a cursive F that goes up and around like this. Thin, all thin stroke, and then as we're going down, we're going to do a thick downstroke all the way down and then back to thin. And then there's the F. Kind of fix that right there. You can also do a manuscript F, thin, thick, and then a thin line across. And then the same with thick, and then thin lines for the F there. And if you wanted to do, you can do thin, thick, and then thin again, the F. So we've got G. We can do an oval stroke like this, and then starting here, thick downstroke and curve back around. We're doing an ascending loop to do the G, and then we can do a thin upstroke, curve around, thick downstroke, and thin upstroke again, and then back around for a capital G like this. Or you can do thin upstroke, thick downstroke, almost like an oval stroke, back up thin, and just finishing it off like this. So that was how I do it, the G. Let me take a break here real quick and check on my little one. So very thankful for my 15-year-old watching his younger brothers while I do this real quick. I say real quick, it's probably taking a little longer, but so F, G, and then we'll do H. So I start with a thick downstroke, thin upstroke and around, and then thick downstroke again. Just kind of curve for the H. You can do capital, thick downstroke, and then thin upstroke and around to do kind of like a little cursive one there. Or you can just do it regular, thick downstroke, H like that. And you can also put them a little closer together. These two thick downstrokes don't have to be as far apart as mine. H-I, so we'll do thin upstroke and a thick downstroke and a little curl at the end, a thin curl. And that's when you make a lowercase I. And I will just do a thick downstroke and a little curve for a capital I. You can make it more manuscript with a thick downstroke and then two little thin top and bottom, top hat and little shoes for it. Then we've got J. It's a descending stroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke, and then making the J there. You can do capital J like this. Line, not a dot. You don't have to do a dot, you can do a line. But either way. Then we've got K, which I'll do a thick downstroke, and then I will do just thin strokes to make the lowercase k there. You can make them thicker if you want to, since it is a downstroke. That's up to you and your preference. Same thing with this. You can do a thin upstroke and then maybe a thick downstroke. But that's just up to your preference on how you want your K's to look. Again, I've seen some do a thick downstroke and kind of a loop around for the K. I've done that before. And just, to me, it looks like a little R. But yeah, that's how you can do a K. And then we've got L, which is basically a thick downstroke with a little tail at the end. You can do L's when you're meeting up with another letter with a thin upstroke. I like to go kind of far over this way, so that way it leaves plenty of room to do the nice thick downstroke like that, and then follow through with that ending loop like that. So that's how you kind of connect them. Capital L, you can do a thick downstroke and just a thin stroke for kind of more manuscript, or you can do the more fancy upstroke, thick downstroke, and thin upstroke and thick again for like the fancier L, cursive L. You can change that up how you like it. M, I just like to do thin, then down to thick, then up part of the way thin, down thick, and then up part of the way thin, down thick, and then just kind of end it like that for capital, and miniaturizing it for the lowercase. So there's the M. N, you can do the same thing, N, but then just doing it once, one hump over instead of doing two. Same thing with lowercase. And then if you want to, you can do just manuscript like that. Same thing with M. O is just the oval stroke, so capital O, just gonna make that big. Oop, my paper. Oop, oop. I didn't mess that up. What are you talking about? There we go. It's the capital O, and then you just kind of miniaturize it, doing little upstroke, thick downstroke, and then upstroke to meet the other end. So there's the O, and if you need to connect two letters together, like double O's, you can go around, and then I like to just kind of do a loop, and then you pick up your pen. It's not like cursive where it's doing hand lettering. It's not like cursive where you have to very strictly keep your pen on the paper. It's actually better for you to lift your pen and start the next stroke. So that's how you can do that in double O's. P, I just like to do thick downstroke, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, kind of like an oval stroke but backwards. Instead of starting from the right and going to the left, you're going from the left and going to the right. So thin, thick, thin, and then you can peel it around and go that way. And lowercase, same thick downstroke, thin, thick, thin, up and around like that. That's how I do my P's. Q, oval stroke, big oval stroke, and just a little tail on it. And then for lowercase, oval stroke, little one, and then a thick downstroke, and then thin upstroke, and do Q. Don't really think of any other ways to do Q's, but here we go, Q. We've got R. You can do a capital R, that's more of a manuscript. and that's the way I like to do mine. Or you can do same thing with lowercase r. You can do a more manuscript one, thick downstroke, thin upstroke, or like I do mine, you start at the bottom, thin upstroke, past the middle line, circle it around, and start putting pressure, and then put more pressure as you're going down to make the cursive R. So that's usually how I like to make my R's. S, you can do the cursive S, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, and thin again for the cursive. Or you can do thin, thick, and then back to thin, and then go from there. So that's more of a manuscript looking one. I like to do mine more manuscript. So you'll see me do my S's like this, and then connect them to a different letter. But if you wanted to do a cursive lowercase s, you do thin upstroke, and then a thick downstroke, and then thin again. So QRST, I'll usually do a thin top and a thick downstroke, and just more manuscript. And then for lowercase t, just pulling it down, thick downstroke, and then a little tail at the end, and then making my lowercase t like that. U, just a big understroke like that. Do a miniature version of that, and then you can add this and the tail at the end if you wanted to for U, lowercase u. V, almost the same thing, but instead of curving it, you make it more straight. So thick downstroke, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke. And you can do like a little tail at the top to connect your letters. V, W, thick downstroke, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke. So thick downstroke, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke. And so I do the W. You could also make them more rounded. So you can do kind of like little U's. So instead of a double U or a double V, it's double U. And then we've got X, which I just start off little up stroke, thick downstroke here, and then kind of do a little tail, and then do a thin upstroke this way. Same thing with my X's here. Just kind of do a little downstroke like that, and then a thin upstroke to cross over. And then we've got Y's. You can do it different ways. I would do it thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke, almost like a U, and then back down and thin upstroke to curve around Y. So it's like a lowercase y, but like enlarged, bigger. So we'll do the same with this. I could do that better, but anyway, there's the Y. And last but not least, the Z. And so I like to do manuscript Z. So manuscript Z is preferred for me, but you can definitely do a thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke, and thick downstroke all the way, and then loop around to do the Z, the cursive, more cursive Z. So there we go, A through Z, and how I do my lettering, so that way maybe you can follow along with me. Again, I have a lettering challenge that I am doing with people who follow me, and you are welcome to join. I'll make sure to put the link in the description box below, and each week I will do the lettering for you to see, so that way you can follow along with us. But this is pretty worn for January, but there you go, got January, and we'll be finishing out the remainder of January here shortly. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like or thumbs up, and comment down below if you have any questions, and I hope you have a wonderful and very blessed day. Bye.